channel. Join me for another episode on the R32 conversion Mk1 Jetta. I'm just going to grab the camera, update you as to what we've done, where we've got to, and what we're doing today. So let me grab it. So since the last episode, we have been over to a good friend of mine, Resto Wagon, to do all of the welding in the bay, as seen here, so I could remove certain holes that we didn't want. Battery trays gone, various holes all welded up. Main important thing was to move the engine mount. So this being a small block vehicle, the engine mount used to live here for your 1.3s and so on. Obviously we're now moving to a big block situation. So new mount was welded in place here. I'll input a picture somewhere around here. So I thought it only right I actually include some pictures that Resto Wagon took and shared with me for the work that he did. So the battery tray, the small block engine mount, the various holes on the bulkhead, the second hole that I wanted trimming out like the GTI, like shown here on the front panel. Then there were various engine bay looms, or engine loom holes that I wanted taken out. So he cut those out, made a plate, welded that in to have those all smoothed over. Here you can see various other holes on the bulkhead and on the rain tray, and here again on the other side of the bulkhead and rain tray. Here you can see that we've removed the small block engine mount in preparation to have the GTI one fitted, and here you can see the battery tray gone as well, with some of the holes already done. Obviously some primer to protect it until it goes off to be painted, once that's happening. And here you can see again, just on the inner wing, just some primer over the areas he's done the welding. Here you'll see the mock-up block put in place with a VR6 gearbox using the Euro-wise mounts. And now we'll get back to the clearancing of the 6-speed gearbox. Last bit we need to do before we send it off to have the bay painted is clearancing the 6-speed gearbox that we're going to be using, hence why this part is sitting on the floor, and this part kindly donated by Martin over at Gas and Gears, so I can use that to mock up and then cut out. You can see that I put very rough markings as to where we would need to cut. If I just quickly jump in and grab, sorry for the angles, I'll grab the end casing. And as you can see, it doesn't quite match up yet. So we'll do a little bit of clearancing and then we'll be good with that. So moving on inside the car. The fly-by-wire throttle pedal bracket is in place. As they state, this is a bolt-in bracket, so no welding required. However, I didn't want bolts going through the hole that was here into the engine bay. It's not going to work for how I wanted it. So again, I had Resto Wagon weld on some studs so that I can nut and bolt this bracket up, and obviously the bolt goes through there for the final bolt. So that's all good and ready. Obviously I need to remove that, give it a lick of paint before finalizing that situation. I'll go around to the other side. So on the other side you'll see that the hydraulic clutch pedal situation is resolved as well. That's all sitting in there with the return spring and all ready to roll. So what I intend on doing is running a hard line. I've just machined up some fittings to go into here, giving me an AN4 fitting on the outside, and then I'll do a hard line up to the firewall, along the firewall somewhere along here, and then come out into the base. I've got to drill a hole here before I send it to paint as well. Put an AN4 bulkhead connector, and that will be the clutch pedal. I think the only other fitting I require is for a vacuum for the clocks. So I will look at that as well whilst I'm at it. So those two bits are done. Loom wise, shout out to James E Looms. I sent him the loom to convert it for us. I mean, I won't get it out now, but you get the picture. Loom's done and ready to be fitted to the car. So what are we doing today? As I just mentioned, my main task today is to get this wheel out of the way, get this clearanced so that the box fits in the car perfectly before paint, and then we're ready to get this off to paint. So I'm probably going to put you down, get the car set up, and then I might bring you back as I do that job, or just bring you back once I've done it. So we'll catch you in a minute. Right, and there we have it, trimmed out. So we have the clearance that's required, and I'll call that a job done. There's plenty of clearance. These mounts are quite hard anyway, so it's not like there's going to be tons of movement, but at least I know once we put the 6-speed box in, we're not going to have any problems after the bay's been painted. And obviously, as you will notice, yes, this this end cap does protrude into the wheel arch, but this car will be running some wider wheels, so clearance to the gearbox should be fine. If not, we will make it fine by getting the right offset wheels so that it does clear on full lock. But yeah, there she is. Since the last video, the drive shafts have also arrived, and the top and bottom silicone coolant hoses from Eurowise. I also requested Colin over at Creative Aluminium Fabrications make a bespoke tucked rad using twin spiral fans for the application. Here you'll see a couple of pictures of that now fitted in the engine bay with the mock-up engine. There's one small tweak I need to make to it, but overall very happy with. Next job, which I'll probably set the camera up and we can do some time lapse. I need to remove all this seam sealer, along here, around here. Basically get off as much as I can before it gets to the body shop. So as usual, I'm going to set the camera up. So first of all, I'm going to get the gearbox back, or the bell housing casing, gearbox casing out of the car, get the car back on the floor, get set up, and then I'll bring you back for some time lapse to start whizzing around these bits. So catch you in a minute. Right, well, you've seen the time lapse. That's the majority of the front wheel arch, or front turrets, sorry, rubbed down. Where I'm actually taking it to have the bay painted, they have the ability to do blasting, so they will get in these crevices for me. But me just taking off these bits here saves a bit of time their end, and therefore money getting it painted. So in there and up here, I'll come around here with the wire wheel in a minute, get as much of that as I can, but most of that in there I'll get them to grab. So pretty much that's the bay rubbed where I want to rub it, clearanced where we wanted to clearance it, The only other thing I've got to do is drill, as I said, I think earlier, 2 holes for 2 bulkhead connectors, one for the clutch and one for a vacuum. And I think we are pretty much there. So I think that will be it for this episode. Do please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.